Hi there. A couple of weeks back, I suddenly got this song in my head, and ever since then, I've been wanting to do this video, and I haven't. I wanted to do a video on the band of which that song was. Um, the song title was, sorry, I have to look it up. It's a very complicated title. And it's called Map Reference 41 degrees north, 93 degrees west. And those who are familiar with that title, they already know what I'm talking about. It's Wire. Wire are, to me, the first post-punk band that weren't, well, they weren't post-punk. They were post-punk, but they weren't cold post-punk because they were releasing their stuff in the whole punk movement. So while the Sex Pistols were doing their Anarchy in the UK, these guys were releasing this album. This is Pink Flag, and it's not at all like the three-chord punk that the Sex Pistols or other punk bands did. It's a lot more artsier, I have to say. There's of course those punk rockers like 12XU, but overall it has a different feel. It has a feel that later you would find back in a lot of post-punk music. So what I'm going to do in this video is basically show you the records I have, and I can't do much more than that. I just urge you all, if you don't know Wire, check them out, buy their stuff, buy their first 3 albums. They're essential. And I'm going to also show some of the side projects, side releases that they did. So hopefully you're going to enjoy it, even though I don't have much to talk about. Anyway, this is the first Wire album. It has Ex-Lion Tamer and Three Girl Rumba, which I love, and of course 12XU, which is just a stomper. I have my doubts whether or not this is an original, but I am sure it's not. It has the Wire labels, but the cover looks a little bit in a photocopy. Oh well. The second album is Chairs Missing, which has French film Blurred, which I really love. I Am the Fly, another great track. Here they're moving more Outdoor Miner, by the way, is another great track. They're moving more into the experimental phase, still having the punk sound, but more experimenting with structures. This is another copy that I have my doubts about whether or not this is an original, but well, it's cool. Another album you should check out. This is an original. This is 154. This one has the Map Reference song. Map Reference 41 degrees north, 93 degrees west, which is, I love that song. Other songs which are just killer is The Other Seed, 40 Versions. Killer album. My favorite, to be honest. I love the other two, but this is the first Wire album that I picked up. So yeah, this is my favorite. It has Water Damage on the sleeve, but I bought it like that. It wasn't that cheap. It wasn't that expensive. So, and I think this is the end of their period with Harvest. Maybe because punk was not popular anymore and a lot of the bands got dumped. I don't know. Anyway, this is a release from early 80s, I'm sure. I don't know. It doesn't say. It's called Document and Eyewitness, and it has two records in it. One is live, maybe both are live, I don't know, but one side is called the Notre Dame Hall 12-inch, which is a 45 RPM release, and Electric Ballroom LP. So I think both are live. This is on Rough Trade, original copy. That's those nice labels. Good release, but not essential if you haven't got any Wire yet. Wire in the late 80s went to Mute Records. In between, they didn't release a lot of stuff, I guess, under the name Wire. But when they returned in the late 80s, they came up with albums like The Ideal Copy, which is a lot more electronic, but it's also, you know, it starts a whole new period for Wire. More and more, this is post-punk, and it's just great stuff. It's on Mute, and yeah, this is a great album. So their second period with Mute Records is another period that, if you really like the first three albums, you can continue with this, because, you know, there's nothing bad about this music. Then these are chronologically, so that's the reason why this is in there. This got released in 1989 on EMI Harvest. This is a compilation album, probably because they got, you know, an album out on Mute that Harvest decided, you know, let's cash in on them. This is on Returning, their period 1977 to 1979. Yeah, it's got songs from their first three albums, and all description on the band. And yeah, also, that, I think that's pretty cool. They say what's on their label here, 3 albums, and then they say which singles and albums are on Mute Records. So they could have not mentioned that, but they did. The last Wire album that I have, and I will pick up more, most definitely. I really love this band. This is Manscape, another record on Mute. This is from 1990. This is more and more electronic. Yeah, a friend of mine, he doesn't like the first 3 albums. He does like this. So maybe that says something about my friend or about the music, that if you're more into the electronic stuff, leave the first 3 behind. But I wouldn't do that, because they're just killer songs. Killer albums, sorry. This is a nice package, beautiful cover. Yeah, damn it, I want more Wire. In the period between the first and the second Wire periods, I'm not saying that correctly, but you know what I'm talking about. When Wire ended in the late 70s and restarted in the mid to late 80s, they did their own thing, the members of Wire. The lead singer, Colin Newman, he went on to do solo stuff. I don't know, this is not his debut album, I believe. I think that's called A to Z. I don't have that. But this is on 4AD, and it's called, professionally entitled, The Singing Fish. This is awesome. This is really experimental, and it's a killer album. Songs are basically called Fish 1 to 6 and then Fish 7 to 12. There's 12 tracks on here. Just beautiful, crazy, experimental post-punk. Then another release on 4AD. Well, this is the Dutch release on CNR, but originally it's 4AD. This is Not 2. This is less experimental, but it's still really good. I haven't listened to these in a long time, but yeah, it's really interesting stuff. If you're into Colin Newman, I guess Derek knows him. I have sent Derek a 7-inch from this next album, which has one of the most, wrong titles. This is Commercial Suicide. This is on the Creme Disc label. Comes with the original inner sleeve. This is his most commercial record, and it's beautiful. He works with a whole orchestra of Belgian musicians, and yeah, I love this album. This is really, really good. Probably my favorite solo album by him, and I can't get the record back. Yeah, I can't. Yeah, it's more symphonic. It's still got the post-punk vibe, but yeah, it's just killer stuff. And when Colin was doing that, the other two guys started a little project called Dome. I don't have the third Dome record. It's on my wish list, and there's a fourth record as well, which is not called 4. But this is Dome, by Dome, on their own Dome label, which was distributed, I believe, by Rough Trade. I could be wrong. Anyway, this is droney, experimental, post-punk, very unlike Wire. So if you like Wire, chances are you might like this, but it sounds very different from Wire, and I love it. This is from 1980. And then the second album, which is simply called Dome 2, is also from 1980. And again, droney, experimental, post-punk. And the last thing that I have featuring members of Wire is this. This is He Said with the album Hail. It's the same guys as Dome. This is from 1986 on Mute Records. And comes with the original inner sleeve. I haven't listened to this in a long time. Brian Eno is on here as well, so it's more ambient, I'm sure. Anyway, Wire is a band, if you don't know them, but you love experimental music, you love post-punk, it's a band you should check out. Should it be in everyone's collection? I don't know. I can't say that, but it's something that if you're interested in, different music, you should check it out. So I just wanted to do this little video, and hopefully you guys will check out Wire, and check out Dome, and check out Colin Newman, and check out He Said, because I'm continuing to do that as well. Anyway, take care, and I'll be seeing you. Bye-bye.